Lalita Krishna, InSync Video and Breakout Media. I think one of the things that struck me very early on when I was doing interactive pitches was that, I expected interactive by definition to be some kind of a technical pitch. I thought it's got to be a lot about platforms, it's got to have a lot of information about the code and the background, the database and the kind of technology you'd be using. And I think all of that stuff is very important, but if you're doing a pitch, this is a very early stage. The people that you're talking to need to know the story. They need to know what this is about, and you would approach it the same way that you approach the trailer to a documentary, where you're actually telling them what story they're going to see. So I would suggest that in creating a pitch for your interactive experience, talk about the experience. Tell the story of that experience. So what are they going to be doing as a user, how they get into the website and how they're going to approach it, what stages they can navigate. So instead of getting into the technology, which is distracting for anybody from a story point of view, talk about the story. I think typically what we do as documentary storytellers is that because we understand the medium of the documentary so well, we show a wonderful documentary trailer, and then we would say as an add-on, oh yes, and for my interactive, I would have this robust, I would have this immersive experience, it would be transformative, and we use this terminology which means nothing, and then we'd show a boring old, like a map or push pins, and we'll say there's some way in which you can interact with this, which is non-interactive completely. So it kind of defeats the purpose. I think it's better to play it the way, to stick with what you know. That's what, at the bottom line, that's what I would say. You know how to tell the story, you understand what you want your interactive projects to do regardless of the platform. So one of the things I learned early on when I was doing my very first project is that if I'm pitching or showing, demonstrating a game, or if I'm demonstrating a website, it really is important to have the person on the other side, whether it's a funder or whether it's your broadcaster or just the user. If you want to explain to them what they have to do, you have to give them the controls. They have to navigate, they have got to use it, they've got to become the user in order to experience it. It's an experiential learning, as opposed to the one-way broadcast which we used to have before, where you can actually show it and you can talk over it, but this way they need to experience it. Otherwise you're going to lose your audience. I think what's really, really exciting about this new space is the fact that it's new. It's something new, something challenging. It's the opportunity to work with a lot of new people, very talented people, and to be able to share and learn at the same time. So I think a lot of the people that I'm working with now recognize that, as documentary storytellers, we bring something to the table that they don't have. And it's very important for us to remember that. We do bring something to the table. And then to be able to match that with what they bring to the table, which is an understanding of the technology, understanding of the platforms, and to bring that to, when you bring that together and it really works, it's an amazing experience, because you're able to see something being transformed in a different digital space that you conceived of, or you thought of, or is an extension of a linear broadcast story that you have created. I think a good partnership really depends on a clear identification of roles. Who's doing what, and what the deliverables are at the end of the day. And a very well-defined project scope. I think is really important. I think a lot of us get into the interactive space having a vague idea, a few different things that we've seen, we want it all, and we want to, just sort of, we have no idea of how to execute it. So it becomes a confusing brief for whoever we want to partner with. I think it's really important to hone in and focus on exactly what we want to do. It's also equally important, as it is with anything that we do, to have a clear understanding what the user wants. There's no point creating something for the wrong reasons. We've got to be very clear in terms of whom we're creating this for, and figure out a way to find out what they want and be able to deliver that. I think it's really, really important before embarking on any interactive digital project. It's really important to identify your user, to create a persona and create a profile of who the user is going to be. So when we start on our project, that's the first thing we start with. We try to identify and create a user profile. We call them personas, and we bring a focus group together. We let them go through a bunch of stuff, websites, if we're going to, depending on the platform that we're going to be in. We try to gather data and figure out what is it that people want.